You are listening to Charting Cryptos, Commodities, and Currencies. Let's jump first, as we always do, into Bitcoin. Up right now, 1.23%. This is the 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin chart. Where do we see things going? Well, we see things moving up. The high last week was 64,121. This week, 64,730. So we have hit a higher high. Now, as we look at where we are on volume, not quite average volume last week. As we look at this week, we can see 2 days in, not a lot of volume there. We are trying on this 2-day chart and pushing a little bit ahead of where we were 6 days ago. And again, as we finish drawing this third candle, it is moving a little bit higher, but the volume has, of course, decreased. So we will keep our eye on Bitcoin. And I'm going to juxtapose Bitcoin to our BITW chart here in just a minute when I finish with Ethereum, because it's interesting. It's not moving up anywhere near like Bitcoin, and I'm sort of wondering why. But we'll get to that in just a second. Let's look at where Ethereum is. Right now, 0.04% up. Now, interesting thing about Ethereum is you can see that we had the interim low back on the week beginning the 2nd of September. What can usually be a dead week following that, we actually had the average volume, didn't have as low a low. Last week we had not really a spinning top, but a doji, again with average volume. Things are turning around. I know some of you went ahead and pulled the trigger on Friday on an up trade on Ethereum, and that is fine. Again, follow it closely. Put in your profit and loss bands. Go ahead and employ your 2-day ATR, again, for limiting losses and for helping you see when to take your initial gains and then, of course, to let things run. Again, I haven't traded a lot in Ethereum, don't have a lot of experience with it. As I'm looking back here on the chart, looks to me like it's really tricky to trade. There's a beautiful climb, of course, back in February of this year, starting actually the interim low January, the week beginning the 22nd, then a green spinning top, and things did move up literally. The high that week of jumping in, $2,540 to a high along the way of $4,003.30. So that was a beautiful move. Since then, these others, hard, but this could be the start of another move up. So we'll watch it, and I'll ask you to keep me posted on how well you play it. Now, let's look at where we are. I said I'd look at BITW. Now, when we look at Bitcoin, which is the big dog, remember BITW is the top 10 cryptocurrency ETF weighted as per market share, which means Bitcoin is the big dog there. Bitcoin's been going up the last 2 weeks. Look at BITW. Didn't go up last week. It is barely going up this week. And I'm just wondering what is going on there. If it's tracking the top 10 cryptocurrencies weighted as per market share, is it due to make up for the up moves in Bitcoin at some point? Is that an opportunity? I'm going to pay attention to it and watch it with you and see what we can learn from that. Might be worth a practice trade just so you can accurately track it. I don't know, just something I offer up to you to pay attention to for potential use in the future. Let's move from there, from cryptocurrencies into commodities. Look at sugarcane taking off up today alone, 2.09%. We saw where sugarcane hit its interim low and then turned around, but very sloppy. All the energy, was in that first week. Then it dropped over, didn't hit it the next week. Then it turned around with a doji last week and, of course, would have scared you and pulled you out. Then that was 2 weeks ago. Then last week, hammered up. And this week, moving even higher. Again, interesting to watch. I wouldn't be in the trade. What do we see going on here with corn? Corn also popped up really strong that week, the 3rd of September, then sort of backed off the next 2 weeks. This week moving up flat for the day. Copper, using a lot of industrial things. Of course, copper spinning top 3 weeks ago, well, 2 weeks ago, last week. We saw things really starting to move up. This week even higher. Copper up for the day 4%. Quite nice. Silver, my friends, up 5% for the day. We saw that spinning top back on the week beginning September the 9th. Last week a strong week. This week another strong week as silver along with gold just jamming up. Now I also threw in here UGA, which is the U.S. Gas Fund. And of course we see it after just hammering down that week beginning the 3rd of September and the next week the 9th of September. Last 2 weeks look like it's trying to recover. And check this out. If you look at the volume here, you will see the interim low. We had average volume, and then we had a bit of a spinning top. You can just see a little bit of move on the bottom there on last week's weekly candle, and things turning around. So again, keep an eye on gasoline. Might be something, those of you who jumped into it to practice trade it, you just might continue to pay attention to it. Lastly, we'll look at wheat. Again, we saw with sugarcane, we saw with corn, things, took off with a bang this week. Not really seeing, just like last week, wheat not moving up super strong like we saw with sugarcane. And of course, copper being the big 4% mover. But of course, the biggest in commodities is that silver at 5%. Let's check out where we are with international currencies. We'll look at the British pound up about 0.5% for the day. Now, of course, we saw international currencies, trying to start there in mid-August moving up. They did, and then that week beginning the 9th of September, everything backed off, but last week started moving up. This week moving up. Look at the euro. The euro started moving up after a spinning top that week, the 29th of July, hammered up, really strong that week, the 19th of August, then sort of slacked off and started to die until last week where things bumped up for the day 0.60%. And lastly, the yen. Now, we know that the Bank of Japan, increased their interest rates, took away a lot of that carry trade, and the yen pounded up the week beginning August the 5th when we saw the markets get hammered, maybe as a result of some of the things the Bank of Japan had been doing, along with other stuff going on in the market. And then the Japanese tried to shave that off. They didn't want the yen going through the roof, and they managed to pull that off the next week. But the yen has been building, pushed through that high, that prior high on that week beginning the 5th of August. Did that 2 weeks ago, the week beginning the 9th of September. Then last week, a green spinning top. And then this week, a down move, a red down candle that we've not seen since July the 1st. So, are they being successful in really crushing the yen? Pay attention to that. Might give you the ability to do a short trade on FXY. Those of you who know how to use puts, you might practice trade a put. Maybe keep an eye on it, see how the week goes, keep an eye on volume. That is where we are. Charting cryptos, commodities, and currencies. Always appreciate you being with us. Always love to hear from you. CW@chartingwealth.com. We're not a stock calling service, a bond, a currency, a Bitcoin, whatever. We're an education firm. I want you to practice trade with us. Learn how to do this by practicing it. Practice trade all you can. Read all the books. Take all the courses. Watch all the videos. Keep notes. And most importantly, keep that trader's diary. Keep up with what you are learning. Don't have to relearn stuff. God bless my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.